Alright. Yep, that seems to work, so we'll be starting shortly. Who did we just welcome? Liz!
Good morning.
it at least sounds like it's morning there. You greet the day with as much aplomb and enthusiasm as the rest of us, I see. Or here. Connie and Chris. We are going to be down a Chris, so Garrow can be publicly owned for the day. Oh, here we go. Here's a Connie. Let's turn this down just a smidgery. So we are close to getting everybody.
Hello?
Hello! Now we hear you. They're sounding a smidge
Hello?
quiet.
Hello.
That's better.
Okay. I really just came back from walking the dog.
Ah!
Happy New Year to all.
Yes!
Happy New Year.
Yes, indeed. Happy
Happy
New
New
Year
Year.
to everybody. I hope everybody's Christmas was better than mine.
Oh.
COVID. So,
That's horrible.
it was an adventure in and of itself, yes, I'll give it that.
Hopefully, feeling better now?
Oh yeah.
Lovely.
It wasn't until after New Year's that I actually started getting over it, so yeah. Aha! Here's the other one.
Sorry.
Can I ask?
Of course.
Where's the USS? I found it. Don't worry.
I got this for Christmas.
Hey! For those who can't see the
Nice.
Discord, that is one awesome helmet.
That's awesome.
I like the fact that you also live in the Millennium Falcon. I wish I lived in the Millennium. Actually, no, I don't wish I lived in the Millennium Falcon. That thing's a death trap waiting to happen.
I know, I just had to find a picture for the camera.
Yeah, it's fine. Excellent. So we've got everybody. Nice.
But yet, no.
Yes, Dave.
I was just gonna ask about traits for the ship.
Yes. Well, if you hold on to that, we'll get started with that as soon as we play the intro video, and we'll get started with the game in earnest. So, let me turn off the rumble and the happy, and we will get to everything just as soon as we play this intro video. So we will be back in a couple of seconds, folks. Hold on. Hello everybody and welcome back to the continuing adventures of the USS Combs. It's, as of time of recording, 7th of January 2024. So yes, it's back. We're back. New year. With all the enthusiasm of, well, whatever we can muster. But nah, it's great to have everybody back. It feels like it's been more than a minute. But we're back, we're here, we're starting some more silly shenanigans, which we will get started with imminently. But as ever, before we do any of that, we have a certain Christopher's videos to plug.
Hello. Yeah, thank you very much. It's now sale season is now pretty much over, so I did the sort of like the autumn sale and the winter sale back to back. So next up is going to be a Having a Mosey review of Jack and Daxter, coming out at some point this month. Thank you.
Biffing. And for those who haven't seen it before, here's the link and here's the page, so have a good old Mosey. That was a very weak joke, I'm very sorry.
It's okay, man. It's in the spirit of the channel. Thank you.
Okie dokie. So, as has already been stated, our security chief will not be with us today. He's off filming, so he probably won't be able to tell us what he's filming. But I don't know. When we meet him at Kung Fu class, maybe Connie, Chris, and I can beat him up a little bit to tell us some details. I don't know. We'll see what we can manage. In the meantime, we've got the rest. So we've got the rest of our brilliant crew. So before we were going to get started on things like acclaim and science, Dave was going to ask a question in regards to ship traits. Was there anything particular you had in mind, or were you merely asking what they are?
What they are, what I could probably put in there.
Okie dokes. So, most folks, pretty much every character and ship and situation in the game has got traits, and traits can inform you as to things that are relevant, and they can be either used positively or negatively. So, in the case of characters, if I grab, for instance, Hopkins here, Hopkins has got traits like most characters, and Hopkins' traits are human Klingon. So those have got positives and negatives. They inform that, you know, humans have this type of culture, and therefore the word human infers certain things that come to mind, both positive and negative. Same goes for Klingon. So traits are often simple descriptors that give you a picture in your brain of what can happen, but also they can be used in also a positive or negative manner, usually. Certain traits can probably, depending on how you word them, be tipped more one way than the other. So, for instance, the Combs is a Federation starship. So, the trait Federation starship infers the connotation of the Federation likes to make ships that are more geared for exploration and less war. So, more often than not, they'll be built with that in mind. The Combs, being an Intrepid class, and the Intrepid being not long off the production line, does have the trait top of the line, which does have the positives of it's got a lot of very new, shiny technology and equipment that's now being used. But of course, the con of that is it being top of the line. It means that some of this new stuff can take time to get used to, and maybe is a little bit more finicky or difficult to operate or repair if things go wrong. So traits are that kind of thing. Is that sufficient an answer, or do I need to go into a little bit more detail?
I mean, that's sufficient an answer. I don't know. I was going to put a trait, but I don't know what to put on for the Combs.
Well, let's think. Anything that could be useful. I mean, putting the trait temperamental would be probably not a good idea, because that's more of a con than it is a plus. So, let's think. What would be an interesting trait for an Intrepid class?
I mean, I wanted to put something around the fact that it's, you know, our sensors, we can are, you know, top tier.
They are top tier, and you get that mostly through talents, but Is there more we could do? I'm not sure there is. You've already
Yeah.
got advanced and high resolution, so you get everything in 5 or 6K, I think, at this point.
5 or 6K? No, we're at 20K, mate.
Live long and prosper to you too. Suitable substrate. I mean, substrate. If you could recommend maybe a trait you might think might be useful for the combs. I mean, things the other guys have done have been stuff like experimental phases, I think they put on one, and that's kind of been both a plus and a minus, in that sometimes the experimental phases will fire and sometimes they won't.
There's point defense system, which...
Point defense system is a talent you can take for the ship, yes.
Because that just shoots down incoming threats.
But the problem with that is that the combs has already got the maximum amount of talents available to it. If we wanted to throw it in as a trait, then it could conceivably be something like, well, I don't know, a point.
Where's the list of traits?
There aren't exactly a list of traits, because traits are any real one word or short descriptors that you can pretty much think of. But usually, those handy folks on the interwebs have already usually got a list of it. Hang on a second, is someone actually shouting at me? No, no one is actually shouting. It sounded like there were voices calling for me. Example traits. Because we've had example values and example focuses. Traits, why? Yeah, they don't have defined mechanical effects. As this Reddit, this long Reddit post suggests. I don't know. If we're unsure about it, then for the moment, maybe hang on to it and maybe we'll have a good think and see if there's something we can come up with.
I mean, if not, I'll use use the traits on
If it's an acclaim
Tavish.
if it's an acclaim that's coming from Tavish, then I mean, one of Tavish's traits is historical engineering, and that's less a focus and more a thing of, you know, she's got a lot of background in how things used to work in the past, which could mean that occasionally this newfangled thing that she's got in front of her isn't always to her comprehension. So maybe a nice trait for the combs might be something like finely tuned engines. Because it makes sense. I mean, Tavish has always prided herself on having quite a well-trained engineering staff by this point, so...
yeah, I'll do that then.
Between everybody, I seem to recall that you guys have managed to finickety it so that... that's an interesting verb to use. Have managed to coordinate yourself so that you've now got... what is it? You've got... No, I'm thinking shields is the Guicha. You've managed to make it so that it's usually very easy for you guys to recover power, or that the power systems don't take as much as ever. Expert engineering team, a viable trait? That could be a good one, actually.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. What's it?
That then speaks to the crew, or the engineering crew, that are part of the combs. So it's less focused on Tavish and more focused on how well the crew work together. The engineering team, at the very least. Expert engineering team, I like that.
Oh, somebody. Oh, yeah, somebody's put it in.
Yep.
Right. I
I like that.
Big.
Expert engineering team. So that trait could potentially be called upon in an emergency, or for any time anybody needs to draw upon the fact that the Combs has an expert engineering crew. So yeah, I like it.
And Tavish is the reason for that. Just because of that hyper spanner.
Yeah, the threat of it, I think, is more than anything else. Let me see then. So that was, if you gain favour, it's that. If you increase reputation, it's that. If you commend another, it's that. Buy awards. Status, elevation, promotion. Where's traits? Add a trait to ship. That's status. There we are. This costs 3.
Status, yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
3 off of Tavish's acclaim. You've done it. Nice. Anybody else got anything they want to spend their acclaim and/or milestones on before we go any further?
Yes. I want to increase my rep. I also just wanted to let you know that I updated my character notes because it said my reputation was 5, which wasn't correct in the notes, so that's been updated to 3.
Okay,
but then I'm
good.
going to spend, I think it's 4 to go to reputation of 4, isn't it?
Correct.
Cool, that's my first spend. And then the second one is I've got 1 left over, and I'm going to commend Hopkins because I want to see what she does with extra.
So
Extra
Hopkins goes from 5 to 6. Actually, you've spent it, haven't you? Because we got favour with Chancellor Gowron of all people.
I'm gonna send my 2 last acclaim to Dr. Sop.
Oh, all right then. This is the Mutual Appreciation Society of the Combs coming to the fore. Nice. I like. It's kind of like that thing where you've got like family, where you go, "What do you want for Christmas?" "I don't know. I don't want anything for Christmas." "How about I just give you $20 or £20? You could buy whatever you like." "Yeah, that's great." And then that brother then, or that sibling then goes to the other sibling. "What do you want for Christmas?" "Oh, I don't know. How about this $20? And you just end up circulating this $20 note around yourselves. So everyone keeps on giving each other acclaim to go, "Yes, some acclaim, spend some acclaim." And I'm like, "What do I spend this acclaim on now?"
Yeah, if you can't spend it, the 1 I've given you, I didn't realise you'd spent all yours. Yeah, just pass it on to Sop then. You can just accumulate random.
Honestly. That or Connie.
Ooh, yeah, well, maybe throw it to Gurkow then in that case.
Maybe we should spend some on Chancellor Sachs because she's not doing anything, and if she wants to keep a job.
Maybe we should make it so that she's better at what she does. Okay.
I can't in good conscience give her a claim.
Didn't mess up the mission.
Hang on. Let me see. So they can't gain favour. You can't really increase... Well, you could, I suppose, increase a supporting character's reputation. Commending another supporting character... So usually, a claim, as you can see, is usually spent to further the career of your character, and if you think that somebody else did something noteworthy, you can throw some acclaim their way, so they get some extra acclaim. The supporting characters, which there will be news on that coming up, what tends to happen with supporting characters is if they are actively used in an episode, then more often than not they will get boosts to either their talents or their statistics, or they will gain traits and stuff like that. So the more you use the supporting characters, the more they will start getting almost like level ups, I suppose. So if you want the counselor to be better at what she does, then it's entirely probable that you're going to have to start actually using her a lot more in order to have that happen. Let's actually see what the counselor has got, because she has had a talent added, she's had an attribute increased, and a discipline increased. So If you wanted to improve the counselor, she could do with more talents, some values, and maybe some more focuses. Which are all options.
Something that helps her roll good.
Well, talents are usually good for that kind of thing, because talents more often than not either give you an extra dice, or you can re-roll a dice, or they make things easier. So what is it that she does usually? It's usually using her insight, isn't it? So she's got telepathy or telepath as a talent. So if we're looking to anything else in that regard, character talents, let's see. There's usually funky ones for, here we are, extrasensory perception, psychokinesis or telepathic projection. That allows us to, let me see, you have an ability to perceive things beyond the normal limits of humanoid senses. ESP, not directly under your control, instead tends to come in the form of accurate guesses, strong feelings, or flashes of insight. But leaves you vulnerable to psychic dangers as well, but she's a betazoid, she has to deal with that kind of thing a lot. So, it seems ESP is more of a information gathering type of thing. What kind of things does she get used for, in your eyes, that you think she needs to get better at?
Oh, we try to get her to have some insight on how people are feeling, and she's not very good at it sometimes, I feel.
Right, so let's think. What would be better with that? Medical talents, maybe? Assistant. When you assist during science or medicine, you can re-roll a d20. Bedside manner. That's for healing somebody's injury. Not so much that one. Don't you die on me! You guys know where to look for the talents, I take it, yes? Or do you need me to direct you to where the talents usually hide, so that you can have a look?
I know where the talents are.
What was that, sorry?
Said I know where the talents are.
You know where the talents are, cool. Because at the moment I'm looking at medical talents, which might be some of those ones that you can use, because usually Councillor Sachs either uses command or medicine as a means of doing her telepathy, empathy. Again, this might be something we're going to have to come back to, and after having a good old look through all the talents to see if there's anything that can be useful. But if you want that to happen, she's already had one talent added, which was telepath, so she's going to have to be used during this episode if you want her to gain anything extra at the end. So, spare a thought for poor Councillor Sachs.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
How much acclaim does Dr. Sot have?
Well, if Dr. Sot has had at least one donated, then Dr. Sot now has 6 acclaim.
No, I sent him 2.
Well, in that case, it's 7 acclaim.
My god.
Did someone throw some over to Gurkow as well? I don't remember. Or was that...
And then I tossed it to Sachs. Well,
right, that was it.
It was suggested.
Alright then. Well, I guess the next question becomes, what do folks want to spend their acclaim on again? Gotta leave out Garrow because Chris isn't here, so... If no one has anything particular on their mind, I mean, we've already had Mark dictate what Phlesc has updated. As far as Sot goes, what has Sot done? As far as leveled up parts of yourself. I don't think you've done much, have you?
Not massively, because I already sort of started with a strong science and medicine stat. I guess I was thinking of buffing my security a bit, or something, just because I do sort of like the idea of being able to do those sort of combat takedowns with the 50cc's of
Well, that suggests to me a trait. Something like, maybe not combat veteran, but something along those lines. Explain why Dr. Sott, a Bolian doctor of all things, who are usually known to be quite passive, is actively, without hesitation, involving himself in combat. In fact, on your character sheet, you've still got the disruptor pistol from last time.
I should check that out. I'm not stashing that.
Fair enough.
Well, depending on how many you claim you have left, there's also the Medal of Honor, which grants you, it costs 5, but you get 2 bonus momentum on a successful task once per mission.
Oh, is that the Legion of Honor? I've got that one.
No, Starfleet Medal of Honor.
Whoa.
So I think we've all got the Legion of Honor, which was.
I would be very surprised if somebody didn't have the Legion of Honor to be. The amount of times you guys stop me and go, Legion of Honor! Just to make sure I don't get it in. Yeah.
Medal of Honor costs 5, and then when you succeed a task, you can just call it, and then you get 2 extra bonus momentum. I'm reading through, and I'm making notes from it next time.
Starfleet Medal of Honor, yes indeed. 2 bonus
I need to do a bit of a
momentum.
read through myself as well at some point. I think I'm okay for now.
Okay, this seems to suggest that, and it's probably understandable considering we've all just come off a long break. Everyone's got points and stuff to spend. You don't have to spend it right now if you don't know what you're spending it on. You want to give a look at things later. The lists are there for your perusal. So if nobody else has got anything else they think they know they can spend something on, and I'm going to take that silence as a no, Matt, we can't, then yes, that tremendous amount of acclaim can hang around in Dr. Sott's account, as it were, for the time being, until he decides what he can spend it on. Yes, Liz?
I just could think of so much more stuff I could spend a claim if I had more.
I'm sure, but for now, you'll have to make do with what you earn for this episode. Speaking of... Actually, no, before we get into that, let's... Starfleet Surgeon's decoration, yes. That'd be a good idea. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting diverted. Before we go into science experiments and the like, there is a little thing that I would like to direct your attention to, and there's that if we speed off to Deck 1, it's getting a little bit more populated. Mostly because it occurred to me that now that the Combs adventures have been running for a goodly long bit, because we are now starting episode 11. So we're now in double figures, folks. I was just looking through the list of departments that a Starfleet ship should have, and I realized that we've filled pretty much most of them, so you guys do count as the majority of the department heads for the majority of function on the ship. The only ones we didn't have was stellar cartography. So I introduced a new kind of supporty character, Lieutenant Beatrice Dufresne, who probably would have joined the crew recently-ish, but I put her in here because we've got head of engineering, we've got head of security and tactical, we've got head of operations, we've got head of medical, we've got chief helm, and we've got, even though Ensign Ravalon is technically the communications bridge officer, he's kind of too low rank to be the head of communications, but communications actually falls into operations anyway, so that's kind of Tavish and Garrow's area of expertise. And science department is one of those ones that is got lots of sub-branches to it, so Gurkhow's actually in charge of a lot of people with their own sub-departments. So don't let the power go to your head too much, Connie, but...
I will. I've got the biggest posse now.
Indeed, the posse is indeed yours. Technically, there is the Department of Strategic Operations, but that kind of falls under Hopkins's banner. Because Strategic Operations is where science and helm and command kind of mix, which is why Dufresne is here. Because Strategic Operations is basically you getting the people in charge of getting information of what ships and star bases are where at any particular point in time, which is the kind of thing you need to know if you're moving through space so you don't end up smashing into somebody else's flight path. Or forgetting that there was a communications buoy just in front of you. So as I was going through those departments, I realized we needed somebody on stellar cartography, just so that the blame game could be shifted somewhere at the very least. So there we go. So technically, stellar cartography is one of the subdivisions of science, and therefore is Gurkhau's under Gurkhau's banner. But stellar cartography is very much used by Helm a lot, and as such is also used by strategic operations, which falls under the first officer. So, whew! So we should now have all the departments covered. Everything else is just the various sub-departments. I have written this down in the journal and notes section. I may as well let you guys look at it. It's not under any of the folders, but if you go to the journal entry area, there is USS Combs command structure. And I've kind of set out a loose list of what the various departments are, if you're at all interested. Operations is pretty big because engineering has got a lot that they do, but also science has got quite a bit to it, as we've just noted. So we assume there are department heads, but at the moment the important ones are all now covered, or should be. If you guys think of anything I have missed, yes, waste management does mean poop control, and that does come under the purview of engineering, so...
I was gonna, it's family friendly. I was going to say something then.
Yes, indeed. you do have to assign somebody so part of Tavish's duties every now and then is assigning somebody to poop scoop duty.
Lovely.
Indeed. So the glamorous life on a Starfleet starship.
Oh wow! Look! I have control over life support.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Life support begins and ends with the engineering crew, so yeah, it's very much. Don't use waste to create chemical weapons. No, because that's banned under the Starfleet Treaty of blah 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 blah, which Gurkha would be able to probably quote at you.
Well,
what with her having a focus in interstellar law.
But I do control life support.
Well, if we cast our minds back to episode 2, that's pretty much what happened on that ship, if you'll remember. The old NX class ship where you found the crew had all basically gone feral and broken off into tribes, and the engineering tribe was the one that was blackmailing everybody because they controlled life support.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah. Just remember our abject lessons of the past. Let's.
Yes, I'll remember.
Let's not use them as examples of what to do, but examples of things to maybe consider you should and shouldn't do. Maybe, shouldn't. I was throwing a lot of. Where am I going with this? I'm trying to say, don't be evil.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna mess with the life support. Yeah.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that suffix to get landed at the end. Alright, okay, so... Like I said, this new arrival I will explain momentarily, but she, again, is coming under Gurkhau's purview, but I'll get to that. But before we do get to that, I want to move us quickly to science projects, because that's as much an important downtime thing as acclaim and milestones. We have finished Hopkins's investigation into becoming more Klingon, and that will. That's a thing that's currently in process, and we will get to that when we get to that. I do promise you. However, for the time being, that's a side plot off to one side. We'll get to some other time. Just not necessarily right the heck now. So yeah, hang on to that. We'll see where that goes. For right now, the other, very regional accented of me. The other things we've got going on are Tavish's AI program, Phlesk's bioscanner, and we're still hinting at it, but not necessarily going through with Dr. Sop wanting to upgrade the EMH. So I suppose the first question is, who wants to go first with what? I mean, do you want to go from the top of the list and carry on with Tavish's experiment?
I was gonna say, if Dr. Sop wants some help upgrading the EMH, I don't mind putting my science on hold.
No, I'm okay, thank you. I think you've got a bit more direction with yours at the moment.
Okay.
Going to Phlesc, we had finished down the avenue of AI programming, but found that it wasn't. We'd done a lot of groundwork with it and had got some useful stuff out of the AI programming side of things, but it wasn't the final, the final solution, as it were, to what you were after. So that project still isn't finished either. So if we are going with, so basically, Tavish or Phlesc, who wants to go first? Because bearing in mind, any help you get from people on a project means they cannot help with others.
I'm going to probably get help from Ensign Kenson.
It doesn't get old, does it?
And I'm probably going to be asking Captain Sobek to give me a hand again. Unless Phlesc needs him.
No, you can take him.
Alright, they're the two people I'm gonna get to come and help me.
Okay then, so we are still on the... last time we were here, we were still on the investigative avenue of AI programming. We were about maybe a third of the way through your investigation. You'd previously done computer programming, now you're focusing on AI programming. So, Liz, if you could be Captain Sobek, and Chris, if you could be Ensign Kenson. It's never not going to be funny until she gets a promotion. We'll just have to keep her as an ensign forevermore. But so from both the captain and from the ensign, we're going to require 1 dice, and it's going to be reason and engineering. Which is the same things that they've got from before. Kenson, if we're doing AI programming, she doesn't really have any focuses that suggest themselves. The captain does have invention as one of his focuses, so the captain could use that. Tavish, of course, has got AI programming, as a focus, so you can use reason and engineering for yours with 2 dice. So off you go, guys. Give them those rolls. So that's from Ensign Kenson. 1 success, cool. Liz, if we could have the captain, please. Itchy nose. Do. Science! Are you with us, Liz?
Yes.
Yes, cool. I thought we'd lost you. We lost communication there for a second. Captain Sobek, reason and engineering, 1 dice with a focus. If you please. Okay, once again, the captain's enthusiasm maybe gets in the way of his ability to contribute, but it's help nonetheless. Does the captain have anything to do with helping? Supervisor. That gives you extra supporting characters. Teacher. When you create an advantage for an ally. No, he is not creating an advantage, he's just helping. So, it's all down to Tavish then, to get the remainder. 14 and an 8, 2 successes, 3 overall, not bad. Okay. Excuse me a second. So, progress is being made, slowly but surely. This is looking very promising. Building on all of the code base that you laid the first time around. Now starting to put in the heuristic algorithms in order to assist with this bionic device's ability to adapt to situations as it finds them. So far so good. Most of the base stuff is in there, so it'll come down to testing it next to see if it can handle what kind of stress levels it can handle. Cool, not bad. We're probably over halfway, you think, to completion. Now we get to Phlesc. Phlesc had just finished AI programming avenue of his own, had done power systems previously. You'd come to the end of AI programming, and so the avenues that you had identified remaining to you are replicator tech and medicine. So which would you like to go down next?
I guess replicator tech next. Did you say you completed power systems and AI?
Power systems and AI programming had both been explored to the point that they could not be explored any further, yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, then go for power systems.
We've done power systems is what I was saying, sorry.
Oh, no, sorry, it's power systems.
You wanted replicator tech.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Phlesc, of course, has got replicators and transporters as a focus, which is great. So, anybody want to call in for help? We now have quite a crew.
If you really want anyone from the science team, you know, take anyone. If
I was actually going to steal 2 from the science team. Ensign Aversion and Lieutenant Turin. Is that how you say that?
Turin.
The new one.
Yes.
So I'm going to take 2 of the science team for some science.
Well, that's good. She's new on that. She's just been added to the crew, and she's already been put to work. Very good. She does have studious and testing a theory, and Aversion has got assistant, which means that when he's assisting, Aversion can re-roll the d20 he rolls, or has rolled for him, rather. Let's see, what does Turin have? Testing a theory. When you attempt a task using engineering or science, you can re-roll one addition. You can roll 1 additional d20, as long as you succeeded at a previous task. Okay, maybe not. Studious. What does Studious do? Obtain information. So she's Turin's 2 talents are to do with A, being able to ask questions, and B, being able to capitalize on previous success. So, this is going to be...
I'll steal her again.
So this is going to be reason and science. Well, since Phlesc is borrowing one of your posse, the science posse, how about... Well, Connie, choose. Which one do you want, Turin or Aversion?
Ensign Aversion.
Okay. You did choose him, after all, to bring him along, so you could be the Ensign Aversion. Okay. Which sounds like some kind of weird modem firing up there. Which is the sound my brain makes when it's booting up. Liz, do you want to be Lieutenant Turin then, please? and she is doing reason and science as well. I don't think any of her focuses apply here, so it's just going to be going on pure talent. Aversion... I mean, quantum mechanics is one of those interesting ones that, you know, it's basically Wibble science, wherever you think you can fit it in. So I suppose quantum mechanics can go in, because it's all to do with replicators, which is changing the quantum states of matter and stuff, so... No, it's not changing the quantum state of matter, it's changing the state of matter. What the hell, quantum mechanics. Like
Everyone on my team must eventually have a statistical probability like focus.
Some kind of focus that can be applied to any situation, as long as you can justify it.
Yeah.
I like.
Exactly.
I could just imagine that team meeting. Right, guys. This is how we find ourselves invaluable to the crew of the Cones. Everyone has to find something that can be applied to every situation. That is your task.
Exactly.
Now go! Now I've got the thing in my head of Gurkow's team meetings being very energetic.
And then we finish off with a round of double.
Just so you can fleece them out of money. I get it, yeah. Just so they all know who's boss.
Of course.
Okay then, so can we have 1 dice from Lieutenant Turin, please, Liz? 1 dice from Ensign Aversion, please, Connie? And the 2 dice from Commander Phlesc, please, Mark.
Cool. Just a quick one.
Yeah.
Does science projects count as an extended task?
Technically, no, because they work slightly differently, as I have noted previously, which, for the sake of whatever... Ooh, a lot of successes going on here. Team Science for the win. Gurkow trains her guys well.
I'm going to use my focus in replicators.
Yep.
Transporters, because I feel that's very relevant.
Extraordinarily relevant. Nice. 3, 4, 5 overall. That was quite ahead of progress you've made there. So the newcomer, even though she professes that this isn't really her avenue, she is happy to help. And Ensign Aversion, as before, is more than happy to now be on a starship, doing science stuff rather than being on an archaeological dig. Which he and Turin can spend some time chatting about, because Turin is more of an archaeologist herself, so they've got that in common. But overall, that was a lot of success, so the replicator tech for helping your little flying gadget be able to respond in a medical emergency and assist is looking rather good. You've created all the computer libraries it needs to draw upon, so now you're inputting the replicator technology. This is probably going to end up, from the leaps and strides you've just made, you're probably going to end up having to create some kind of additional space on the chassis of this thing, because at the moment it's just this small hovering, like teardrop-shaped device that just whizzes around on its own little anti-grav impeller. But if you're using replicator technology to try and allow it to replicate, like medical supplies, for instance, then it's going to need a compartment to store replicator gel that it can then use to turn it into whatever it needs. So it's going to need a bit of modification for a little slot that you're going to need to keep refilling with replicator gel if it ends up getting used. So that's one of the things you find that results from this investigative work, is that your little device is going to need some modification, which means that its little anti-grav motors are going to need a bit of additional power put to it as well in order to accommodate the extra weight.
Oh,
that
I've
kind of
already
thing.
for that, because I still have that ancient droid power source, so that'll be going in there at some point.
Yeah, ancient droid power source. Well, remind us, where did you get that from again?
It was when we were on one of the previous missions. There was the security system that kept spawning out the sort of dogs.
Right.
And I think a few of us took some souvenirs.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Hopkins still has the dog-like security droid in her quarters somewhere. But you took the power source. Right, gotcha. So between the two of you, you could probably load... You end up... I may be giving you bad ideas here, but now all of a sudden, what has just popped into my head is this droid chassis that Hopkins has got. Phlesc suddenly inserts his little assistant into the matrix of this thing, reactivating it and turning it into his security medical droid. This like dog droid that follows you around that can fight and repair people.
The funny part is her security still has their energy pack. He took one from a different one.
He did. So that one still has it. Yeah, good point. So it'll have a bit of extra juice. There we are. I may have inadvertently given you a really, really good idea there. So Phlesc is there steepling his fingers like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons going, Hopkins, you know that droid you've got in your quarters?
I have an idea.
These droids are not the ones you are looking for.
They might well be now, but thank you for that first cross-franchise reference.
Chris, sorry, Matt's probably having a bad feeling about this now.
I'm actually having a very good feeling about this now. There are funny things I could do with this.
Is there any chance I can make a lightsaber?
Yes, I don't know why you'd want to create an inferior weapon.
Just upgrading the engineering hyperspanner.
Yeah.
It's essentially the equivalent of an extendable plasma torch, essentially.
Yep.
Just one with a really, really long burner beam.
Yep.
Tavish just going around there going whoom, whoom, whoom. You know, the thing itself doesn't make the sound effects. Tavish is adding them.
No, I'm just going to put a little device on the torch, so whenever I move it, it's got this. It does the sound of vum, but the vum is actually Tavish's voice going
saying vum.
So she doesn't have to do it all the time.
Oh, motion activated vum. I like it. Oh me, oh my. Right, so that's all the science we can do for today, unless somebody has got a new project in mind. I will take the silence as a not really.
Not doing his project.
What was that? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, Dr. Salt was going to upgrade the EMH, wasn't he?
No, it's okay for now.
Oh, okay.
Still going... Still not going with it? Okay, no problem. Alright then. Alright then. So that's all the science we'll be doing for today in that regard. As I've already noted, you guys have got extra members to the departments now, but one who has been recently, very recently added is Lieutenant Turin. She has been added to your crew roster by Admiral Hebert, actually, because, as it turns out, a lot of the alien technology you've been coming across has pretty much fallen into the niche of xenoarchaeology, because you're essentially finding archaeological ruins of ancient alien civilizations, and at the moment you haven't really got somebody on the crew who specializes in that. So apparently, according to Admiral Hebert, Dr. Taliaferro has been pretty much screaming insistences that somebody on the Combs crew has to have some kind of archaeological focus. So she has eventually found someone straight from well, not straight, but not long from the Vulcan Science Academy, a Lieutenant Turin who has been posted to the Combs' Xenoarchaeology Department. So Lieutenant Turin is still very technically part of Gurkhau's science crew, but Turin has been brought onto the crew by Admiral Hebert on the insistence of Dr. Taliaferro, so that there's, in Taliaferro's words, at least somebody who knows what they're doing around here in regards to this alien technology from the past. So, whereas Lieutenant Dufresne has now been with the Combs crew for a good couple of months now, because you would have needed a stellar cartography head. I just hadn't revealed her until now. Lieutenant Turin is definitely a newcomer. So, with all that in mind, is there any kind of crew placement position kind of thing that you guys think needs to be filled, or are you happy with the guys you've got currently? Because we still have room for more supporting characters if you want to make them. Or are we good with what we got?
More engineers.
I was going to say, I would like probably one more person in engineering. Because
Okay.
I would like one more supporting cast in engineering.
Okie dokie, okie dokie, okie dokie. Let's see. Engineers. Engineers. Where did I put engineers? Or are they from Narendra? Supporting staff. Engineer. Here we are.
Ideally very capable and a little bit mad.
I don't think we need that anymore. Engineering, I mean, the head is.
Right, so copied over a human engineer. They can be modified as we want. Let me see, where did it go? Human engineer. So we can either stick with human engineer, or we can choose a new species, or you can roll randomly for a species for like a. What would you like to do?
Can we roll roll? Yeah, roll randomly.
Okay, so if you look on the right-hand side, next to the icon that looks like an open book, there is one that, if you hover over it, it says rollable tables. With me, or do I need to guide you more?
Yeah.
If you found rollable tables, there should be a folder that says life path tables. If you open that folder, you should see life path : species next generation.
Yep.
If you click on that, it will open a list. Those are a lot of the next generation species available. If you scroll down, there should be a roll button, and we can randomly determine the species of your engineer.
Okay, alright, here we go.
What did we get? Andorian. Oh, cool. Alright
Nice.
then. Andorian. Do we have an Andorian already with a picture? Let me have a look. Yes, those are the other games I run, for those who are watching the stream right now. I have got lots.
Oh.
Right, so we're looking for... So this is going to be a huge list of character tokens, so excuse me while I look for an Andorian. If anybody spots anything blue, let me know. Klingons, 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 Captain Sobek. I have just found an Andorian, a female Andorian, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright. I'll copy that link, and we'll change this. Now we need an Andorian name. So, anybody who wants to, out of you guys, you can probably find name generators on the web. Star Trek name generators, so... Actually, that's the wrong thing. Actually, I shouldn't do this yet because we don't have a name. We need a name for them first. Are they going to be an ensign or a lieutenant? Well, considering the chief of science is chief of engineering is a lieutenant, let's go with ensign. Andorian. Anybody found an Andorian name generator yet?
I have, yes.
I have, but like, man, those surnames.
Yes, they have zhuz and shuz in front of them.
Yeah.
Fella, I don't know.
Paste it into falafel. Paste it into Discord. Paste it either into Discord or into the chat.
To any Andorian viewers.
Yeah. I found another one.
Paste it into Discord and we'll give it a look.
No,
I can't actually. Oh,
there it is.
Oh, fantastic.
The Chukta. Ooh, wow, that is a mouthful. Bessis the Chitu. Ooh, blimey. That's easier. Shara Jarani. Shara Jarani is a lot easier on the tongue.
Shara Jarani kind of rolls off the tongue. I like that one.
now what supporting character could Hopkins have?
Well, if you really want
have
one.
all of this.
Your own admiral to call your own. I will love him and pet him and squeeze him and love him and call him George. Right, so that's the name of our ensign, Ensign Shara Jarani. For those who are interested in Andorian names, the whole sh, or th, whatever prefix is all to do with whether or not they are able to actually fertilize an embryo, or whether or not they are simply the carrier of the fertilized embryo or not. There's a very, very interesting biology to Andorians, which is why when they try and have children, usually a family group comprises 2 males, 2 females. None of you wanted to know that, but I thought I would fill the silence while I'm updating character token information with that knowledge. So there you go.
The more you know.
Yes. So if we go back to our image, we can always change her to be something else later, but that is Ensign Jarani. Pop! Right, so let's make sure you guys have got access to her. Players, owner, there we go, lovely. So, in supporting characters we now have Ensign Shara Jarani. We need to tailor her a bit.
I can't even see her.
Well, let me bring her onto the bridge.
Ah, there you go.
Right, so, supporting characters. Let's go to the core rulebook, because that is one of the things I usually have available. So, they have a purpose. She's from engineering. Her attributes. Supporting characters start with one attribute that has a 10 in it. This one somehow has got 2 10s. I'll have to change that. So, where do we think she should have a 10 in? Well, usually engineers will repair using daring, but they also have to access systems, so a good control is also necessary for an engineer. So either daring or control, I think, would be the best places to put a 10.
I think she's been on this ship as long as Havish has, so I think she picked up some bad habits.
So we're going with daring as the 10,
daring.
I see. Let's skew these numbers a little bit then in that case. So the daring goes in the 10. Now she is allowed 2 9s. So maybe control should be one of those 9s.
Yeah, I was going to say control and reason.
Control and reason. So now she's allowed 2 8s.
Insight and presence.
And that leaves fitness as a 7. Okay. Are we happy with that? Daring 10, control and reason 9, insight and presence 8, fitness 7.
I'm happy with that.
So she's a slight, slim girl, picked up some bad habits from her commanding officer. Pretty good with the brain and with working things at steady pace. Reasonably good at reading a room, and being an Andorian with apparently long white dreads has got quite the presence to her, so not bad. Okay, so now we get to disciplines. She has to have one that's 4, and it makes sense if that is engineering. She is now allowed 1 discipline at 3. I don't know, science would usually make sense.
Yeah.
Which means we now have 2 disciplines with a 2. And then 2 disciplines with a 1.
Medicine and con for 2.
Medicine and con for 2. Okay. Which leaves security and command with 1.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, she is allowed 3 focuses. So this goes into a nice group question. Are there any engineering-related focuses that we think we don't have that might be very, very useful?
I got rid of one.
You did. I fail to remember what that was, though, unfortunately.
Oh no. Ensign Kenson has it. What field dynamics?
That's a good point. I need to change it so we don't need to see her lack of determination.
Life support systems.
Group all right with that? So, whenever she wants to blackmail the crew, then Tavish knows who to go to.
Exactly.
Shirani, turn it off. Bang! Alright, so any other engineering-related focuses we think we need to have? Or are we going to go with what Gurkow has suggested to her team and go with one that can be applied to any situation?
Yeah, let's do a Gurkow.
I mean, if you really want to get like that, I think Kenson's already got one, which was maintenance.
Yeah.
So if you want to go something in that regard.
Yeah, let's do maintenance again then.
Which unfortunately means that, just like Ensign Kenson, Ensign Girani might end up getting on poop duty as well. But that's why they're ensigns and you're a lieutenant, so, you know.
Yeah.
Alright, can anybody at all think of one more engineering-related focus that would be very handy to have? Maybe something nobody's got. Go on.
Anything on holographs, do we?
No, that's a good point.
Ever?
Nobody as yet has taken any kind of focus on is it hologrammatics? Or there's an actual word for it and it escapes me right now, as per usual. Holography, that's what I'm thinking of. Sorry.
Yeah. Because that can keep our emergency EMH up.
So she's probably... So Ensign Girani is probably the one that goes to sickbay often in order to do maintenance on the EMH.
Yeah.
And if we do any more story times from Lian Zhang.
She can check the work first, yes. Nice. I like it. She is a supporting character, so that's all she can do. So, like with every other supporting character, if you want her to get better at what she does, or if you want to add talents, or if you want to add values or more focuses, then Ensign Girani has to get used during the course of an episode so that she can have some of her blocks updated. Liz, you were thinking maybe Hopkins adding her own supporting character. Is there anything you had in mind?
I'm just curious on what kind of supporting characters the first officer can have.
Well, yeah, I mean, technically, the entire crew are the supporting characters of the first officer, because the first officer's in charge of telling the crew what to do, you know. So, I don't know. Do you feel we need another security officer, maybe? Because, I mean, and Ensign Akos is technically another security officer, and he's got hand-to-hand combat and phasers and a specialty on shields. Do we want an actual tactical officer, a trained tactical officer, so for when Garrow goes off-ship, you've got somebody who is actually trained to be the ship's tactical officer? Though that's just me throwing ideas out.
Yeah, we could probably go with that.
So I should have a generic tactical officer here somewhere, so there we go. Let's copy him.
Basically, what we're getting is a goon.
It's a what, sorry? A goon?
A goon, yeah.
Well, yeah. Wait a minute, why didn't that work? There we go. So, do we, once again, want to create this guy using the random species table?
Oh no, she already has a species in mind.
What is it?
Let's just say instead of a certain deer, it'll be security.
I'm not sure I follow. You're going to have to make it simple for silly folks like myself.
Loon put fingers crossed for a Klingon engineer.
I thought this was a tactical officer.
Yeah, that's why I said minus the engineer part.
Minus the engineer part, right, gotcha, sorry. Klingon tactical officer. Yeah, Well... Sorry, what was that, Connie?
That's madness.
Madness. What I will say is, if you're having a Klingon tactical officer, it's basically going to be another Worf, essentially. It's probably going to be... I mean, if that's what you want, then that's what you want. And it'll, from a story perspective, it'll more than likely be... Well, I don't know, actually. I was originally... Go on, sorry, Dave.
I was going to say, it's something for... It's just basically somebody for Hopkins to drink...
drink with, yeah.
To drink
My idea was twofold. It's either going to be, like Worf, another Klingon refugee of maybe the Khitomer massacre, who thereby entered Starfleet. Or, because you are now so firmly entrenched with Narendra Station, it could be an actual Klingon who has signed on to like an exchange program and has therefore signed on to be a tactical officer on the Combs as part of this Narendra Station exchange program. So I'm happy with either. If you really want a Klingon TAC officer, then yeah.
I like the exchange program actually.
Yeah.
I don't know about the rest.
And speaking of exchange programs, what's the progress on Hopkins possibly being part of that?
Going onto a Klingon ship?
No.
Or changing into a Klingon?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said at the start, you might have missed it, so just reiterate. I have something in mind. It's coming, but I need to finish writing it up and stuff first. So.
Yeah, because I just waiting for.
I know. Yeah.
The fact when she becomes a Klingon is like, oh, okay, now I'm part of this, but on the Combs as an exchange person.
Well, it wouldn't technically change your nationality, as it were. Hopkins would still be technically a member of the Federation, unless she wanted to change her citizenship, because she still counts as being a citizen of both. And even if she changed, she would still count as a citizen of both, because technically her father's human and her mother's Klingon, so either way. But for the moment, should we have this guy be an ensign, or this guy be a lieutenant, do we think? This Klingon tactical officer.
I think lieutenant.
Okay. Can somebody come up with a Klingon name for me then, please?
Alright, do you have a male or a female token?
I have lots of different tokens for Klingons, so which one do you want? I have more males than I do females, I admit.
Roll for it.
Is that a Klingon? No. I haven't got my glasses on.
Let's see, evens, male, odd, female.
So what was the verdict?
Both were the odds.
So what does that mean? Male or female?
Female, I believe.
Cool. Let's use that there. Okay, cool. So now we need a name.
I'm not gonna try to pronounce that.
Dawn. Krelkossa Dawn. Actually, rolls off the tongue rather nicely. I like that. So, Lieutenant Dawn, which is weird because she's a Klingon tactical officer on a Federation starship. So it's a very, very obvious nod to Michael Dawn there. I like it.
Oddly enough, that was just a random name generator.
I know, which is why it's so funny. Which is why I like the random stuff. Okay, Lieutenant Krelkossa Dawn. Let's find that image again. Let's use this one. And let's create the supporting character for you then. For those of you who are tuning in expecting an actual episode, I swear there will be one eventually. We just gotta we're gonna get through this first. It's fine. It's fine. Alright, Lieutenant Krelkossa Dawn. So now that I've made her active, let me make sure that the actor data is linked. Should be in your list of supporting characters. There she is. Let me bring her onto the bridge. So now Garrow has a posse, a security posse.
And Hopkins has a drinking buddy.
Yo. Alright, so just like the other supporting character, we need 110, which suggests control, because that's what you need to be best at your tactical systems. Daring and fitness makes sense for the 9s, the 8s, insight and reason makes sense as well, as does presence of 7. They don't need to be particularly charismatic to press buttons to shoot starship weapons, so I think those stats are pretty good. If folks want to have a look and make sure they agree with me. As for the disciplines, well, 4 has to go in security. The 3 I put in command, but that can be put virtually anywhere you want, so I don't know, any ideas where you want the 3 to go in? Or is command okay? Or should we just leave that character because she's built pretty much like a tactical officer?
Yep.
Okay. The 3 focuses are Starship Weapon Systems, Starship Combat Tactics, and Starship Recognition, which are all good focuses for a tactical officer to have. They are nicely broad enough that they can encompass many things, so I think those are good focuses, unless people can think of other ones they think a tactical officer should have. Take the silence as a no.
Hand-to-hand combat.
Hand-to-hand combat for a tactical officer. Because as far as I'm aware, the whole point the whole point with Lieutenant Dawn was she's there to fill in the tactical station when Garrow is not available. So when Garrow, the security chief, goes off the ship, she fills in the tactical role.
Oh, I was just thinking more being a Klingon.
There's that, yes, and that's why her top rank in security for a supporting character comes in. But if you do want to change something like, I don't know, Starship Recognition to be hand-to-hand combat, that's fine with me. Final yes, no?
There has to be one belonging thing that she gets for weapons.
So replace starship recognition with hand-to-hand combat.
No, she needs the knife.
Melee weapons then.
Yeah, she needs the knife for being Klingon.
Righty. Melee weapons is now in there.
No, I was talking about her actual belongings.
Yep, I'm finding that now. That's starship weapons. Dagger. Boop. Here we go.
Yep, now she has her own.
Ducktog. Actually, that's a good point. I should really take dagger away and replace it with Ducktog. Pop. There we go. Nice. That's better. Congratulations, you now have another supporting character. Cool beans. Alright. That should, I would think, be more than enough for now. You've created a nicely populous bridge now, so that you should have somebody that can answer pretty much any situation you come across within reason, I think. So that's a nice mix of characters we've got now for the Combs Bridge. So unless there's anything else that you guys want to do before we finally get started on the actual episode itself. Alrighty.
Nope, I'm good.
Nope, I'm good.
Cool and the gang. So let me get rid of all these previous roles, then we don't need those anymore. So, yes, so the Combs crew have undergone a couple of changes recently with some new staff brought on to fill various roles. Some have been there for a bit and have only been recently recognised. Others have been recently brought on. Nevertheless, let me see, who have we got? I think I am therefore missing one character, so let's therefore take briefly over to the shuttle bay. Because today's episode starts with a captain's log from Captain Sobek himself. So let's start with that. Where is the... Okay. And I just heard a badoop. Okay, cool. So, Captain's Log, stardate 49285.1. We have been hailed by a shuttle from the USS Calico. For some reason, Admiral Stoker is alone on the shuttle and should be arriving any moment. How she got a shuttle from the Walcott, why she is alone, is a mystery that should be solved momentarily when she docks. Myself and the command crew of the Combs are heading towards the shuttle bay right now. Hopefully, the Admiral will supply us with some answers. And so, we move ourselves to the shuttle bay. So, Captain Sobek, Chief of Security Lieutenant Garrow, Commander Trasa Hopkins, Lieutenant Commander Phlesc, and Lieutenant Gurkow all proceed to the main shuttle bay, where you find that Admiral Stoker has just exited her shuttle. The shuttle itself is not in the best of conditions. There's no evidence of phaser damage or the like, but it looks like it might have been maybe flown too quickly through asteroids or space debris, because some of the bits are dented and there are also a couple of scrape marks on the shuttle. Stoker starts to walk herself towards the command crew. Just to remind you, Admiral Stoker is a somewhat stocky woman with close cropped white hair and a somewhat scarred face from a previous injury that's not entirely obvious what it may have been or why she's kept it. As she approaches the group, she addresses mostly the captain and the other high-ranking command staff. And after a perfunctory handshake and a quick round of introductions, Admiral Stoker launches right into her reason for being here. Set course immediately for the first planet in the Pasqual system at maximum warp. Do not stop for anything. Don't answer hails or get distracted. I need to go to my quarters for a few minutes and then I'll join you on the bridge. I know you have questions. As soon as I have time, I will provide answers. At which point, Admiral Stoker just walks past the lot of you and proceeds further into the ship. The captain, Vulcan, somewhat unconventional Vulcan though he is just simply standing there with his... just staring at the floor as if he's, well, basically floored for how to react. He then turns around to Hopkins, Garrow, Gurkow and Phlesc and just raises a pair of Vulcan eyebrows and goes, thoughts? Opinions? Then I suppose we do as the Admiral has ordered. So, in that case, we redirect back to the bridge. So back on the bridge of the combs, you get back to your stations, and the captain, still unsure of what to make of Admiral Stoker's rather swift arrival and issuance of orders, has now asked for a course to be set for the Pasqual system. The Pasqual system, as you might imagine, is in the Shackleton Expanse, and so it takes a good number of hours to actually get to the Pasqual system, since you have to fly through the various gravitational anomalies of the Expanse. But you've now done this enough times that this doesn't require any kind of rolls. Unless, of course, you want to make a few so that you can get some momentum. Or if you want to wait until you get into the Pasqual system and then do some scanning to get some momentum. Can everybody hear me? Everyone's gone a bit quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whew. I thought for a moment there, okay, I know these guys are quiet, but this is just taking things to an eerie level now.
We're good listeners.
Has everybody left me? Please don't leave me alone.
We don't
No,
have
that's-
everyone here.
Okay.
Well, at least on my end, I'm plotting.
Yeah.
Matt,
Yo.
I don't know if you heard Mark. Threat level, not everybody's here.
Oh yes, good point. Boop, boop. But he might be next week, in which case I get two
Cheers.
back. Haha. As it happens, I forgot about that because my threat and momentum indicators had gone again, so thanks for making sure I knew that. Okay, so the crew have been given orders by Admiral Stoker, who has just boarded the ship, to go to the Pasqual system. So the Pasqual system takes a couple of hours to get to. Eventually...
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Does Tavish know that Admiral Stoker is on board?
Well, yeah, eventually you'll find out, more than likely.
Okay.
So, with this knowledge, what would Tavish's response be?
Probably a quiet word with the captain.
What seems to be the problem, Lieutenant?
I do not trust Admiral Stoker.
I sympathise,
After what-
Lieutenant.
After what she did last time, I do not have any I don't know what the word would be.
Well, you said it yourself, trust.
Yeah, trust in her words and to keep this crew safe.
I sympathise, Lieutenant. But at the moment, she is technically still the Admiral in charge of issuing us orders and missions. Nobody initially objected or let known their own concerns when the Admiral arrived. I myself find I am somewhat stuck. I suppose we will just have to keep an eye on her, as the saying goes.
As long as my objections to her being on the ship are
They are indeed noted.
Noted, yes, then I have no problem going along with you, Captain. I trust you.
That is good to know. We may need to rely on each other, and I do mean everybody, in order to see this situation through.
Yes,
For the
Captain.
time being, however, this is another mission of exploration, and I will admit, I am curious.
I will keep the ship flying, sir.
Very well. You eventually do make it into the Pasqual system. What you find is that this is a standard yellow, white star, whatever you want to call it. A standard yellow star with 3 planets in system, one of which is M-class, and that's the first planet. The other 2 planets appear to be gas giants. And not long after the Combs comes out of warp, that's when one of the turbolift doors opens and Admiral Stoker herself walks onto the bridge. At which point, Ensign Ravelon, your communications officer, goes, "Admiral on the bridge." And Admiral Stoker just waves it away and goes, "As you were, remain on your stations." Science, I want you to give me a scan of that first planet. So, this would be a good excuse to generate some momentum using the Combs' sensors. So, let's have... Connie, if you can give us a control and science check for the sensors. If... Chris, you could be the Combs for us, please?
Sure.
Do you need me to bring the Combs icon token on the thing, or do you know where to find it?
Let me see. It's been a little while.
Yeah.
Oh, Starship. Yeah, I got it.
You got it? Cool.
Yeah, got it.
So the Combs will be rolling 1 dice, and it'll more than likely be sensors and science. This thing has got sensors coming out of its butt, so let's see what we got.
To make it extra sensors,
Yes.
can I have Lieutenant Dufresne roll
Ah.
with her sensors
Sure.
focus?
Liz, do you want to grab Lieutenant Beatrice Dufresne, please, from Stellar Cartography, and roll control and science with a focus on sensors? Look at you, bringing in your subordinates. I got my crew.
I've got to use
Yeah.
them.
You said science, and what was the other thing?
Control and science with a focus on sensors, please. Or using the focus of sensors. Smashing! Whoa, 2 successes! Well, that's why she was made head of Stellar Cartography. And Gurkau gets Okay, so you generate momentum from that, and 1 extra for your advanced sensor suites. Sensors are returning a garbled mess when it comes to the first planet, the M-class planet. Sensors are just not happening. Something is interfering with the sensor scans. But it's not... You can't tell what's interfering with it. It's just whenever you try and... Whenever sensors are aimed at the planet and you start to use those sensor pulses to try and gain information, all that's coming back is a garbled mess.
Would sending a probe help?
You can try. A probe job is usually a Garrow task, because he is the one who shoots stuff. So, since this was your idea, Dave, if you want to go ahead and be Garrow, and we'll have Mark be the Combs.
Cool.
So it seems both Hopkins and Tavish are keeping a close eye on Stoker. So the ship is going to probably want... Let me think. This is probably going to use sensors and... Sensors and security, probably. Because you're firing an actual thing at it. Whereas Garrow is going to use control and science. Any focuses? It's not really a tactical system, so not really, no. Oh, Garrow's got warp engines.
The ship, then?
Yes, so roll for the ship first, if you please.
Just the 1 dice, sorry?
Just the 1 dice for the ship. The ship is always just helping. And she's helping very well, apparently. So, who did I say should be Garrow? Dave. Since it was your idea for the probe. Control and science from Garrow with no focus.
Can... Hold on.
Yes?
Just give me 2 seconds.
Nope, no problem. Anything we can help with?
I was thinking about probably getting one of our tactical people to come and help as well.
Well, there's the new TAC officer, or there's Ensign Akos. There's Hopkins himself.
Let's go for our new TAC officer.
Liz, do you want to do the honours since it's your TAC officer? Control and science from the TAC officer with just 1 dice, no focus, because the Klingon tactical officer doesn't have a focus in science probes. That's a good success. Everyone doing very well so far. That leaves just Garrow then, Dave.
Okay, no focuses.
No focuses. Alright, 4 successes overall. That was well and above what you needed, so 2 more momentum goes into the pool. The probe is fired from the ship, and you all hear the beeping sound of the console, the tactical console in front of Garrow, registering that you are getting telemetry back from the probe. As soon as the probe enters the atmosphere, that beep 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 sound goes. It vanishes. You've lost contact with the probe.
What readings did we get?
It got readings only insofar as that it registered a standard magnetic field around the planet, which equates to about Earth standard gravity. And it got a couple of trace readings of the upper atmosphere, which suggests that the air on the planet should be breathable. But as soon as it entered the atmosphere proper, you lost contact with the probe. Now you're just getting static back.
Okay, that's weird.
We could use the new lieutenant's studios to spend the momentum, and we actually get 2 questions for more information instead of 1 question.
You could. Is Mark coming through quiet for anybody else?
No, he's coming through right for me as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me.
Mark, your usually wonderful, softly spoken, mellifluous tones are not coming through clear enough for us. I'm afraid we're going to have to ask you to be a bit louder.
Okay. I'll work on this in the background. I'll let you guys work out the questions to ask.
Yeah, okay. If you want to use Lieutenant Turin's ability to pose questions, spend momentum to get 2 questions rather than just 1, then feel free if you can come up with a question or 2. Or, of course, there is her testing a theory, which means that she's able to assist with making some kind of roll to do with science or engineering. That means you can roll an additional d20 on because you've already succeeded at a task with trying to get a read on the planet through the probe. So you have options. Can anybody think of anything that they would like to ask? Bearing in mind when you do spend momentum to obtain information and therefore ask a question, it's something I have to answer truthfully. But it can only be to do with the subject that we are addressing. So if you ask me if crabs know if they're walking sideways, then my response will be yes, they do.
Well, there's my question out there. Out the window.
And we ask if there's a way to work out the cause failure of the interference. I will give you that for free, actually. I won't ask you to spend a momentum on that one. You can ask it. And at the moment, because you can't get any sensor readings, don't disrespect the crabs. I'm not disrespecting the crabs. I'm saying that they don't believe... They know they walk sideways, is what I'm saying. They are aware. Anywho's. I don't require you to spend the momentum to ask that question, because at the moment you cannot get any readings back from the planet. As soon as anything enters the atmosphere, it's garbled. You get garbled data back. So in all likelihood, you don't... Well, it's entirely possible the probe is still in there and functioning. It's just at the moment you've completely lost contact with it. There's no signal coming back. If there is a signal, it's being scrambled by whatever's going on that's scrambling the sensors. Oop, who did we lose? That's probably Mark. Yep. Scan mode activated. Okay. Chris and Mark have currently got themselves muted. So that's
yeah, sorry, just
that's cool.
Noise in my case.
Mine's making a bit of... I'm getting a bit of odd interference on my line, actually. Am I coming through okay?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not hearing anything really. Other than, you know, what you want us to.
Discord is just showing activity when I'm not making any, so that's kind of weird. Anyway. Okay, so at the moment you have got no adequate response from sensors. You're not getting any information on what's going on the planet. Admiral Stoker... let me see. Admiral Stoker says that she would like an away team to form a party and beam down to the planet.
Hopefully this is a bit better.
Yep, that's better, thank you.
If sensors, can we find out if sending a... If we're going to beam down to... If we're beaming down to the planet, is it safe? And... is it safe for us going down in a shuttle?
Those sound like 2 questions to me, so you can spend a momentum and ask those 2 questions.
If people don't mind.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
go for it.
According to what you've gleaned thus far, sensor information is giving you very little back. So, in all likelihood, if there's interference on sensors, then a transporter beam might get scrambled too, but it's unclear whether or not the whatever's causing this interference will affect a transporter beam in any tangible way. Likewise, if you send a shuttle down instead, it's entirely possible the shuttle could enter the atmosphere just fine, but whatever's causing the interference will just mean that the combs loses contact with the ship. Or the ship might actually go completely scrambled itself and just fall out of the sky. It's difficult to tell at this juncture. The only thing that you are able to tell with any certainty is, as the ship is kind of making its orbit around the planet, visual sensors are the best you can manage, and just from basically using the equivalent of a high-resolution camera to just look straight down at the planet from the combs, there is evidence of plant life, and that suggests a breathable atmosphere. There's also spots, kind of like cleared spots of cleared foliage that suggest that there might be life forms there who are used to trying to cultivate the land, and there are even some spots here and there that look like buildings. Not terribly large buildings, but at least single-story buildings that suggest maybe some kind of early culture. But that's what you're getting from visual scans of basically cameras just looking straight down at the surface.
I'm probably gonna get. Disciplinary actions for this. Going to ask the Admiral, what do you know about this planet? And seeing as we can see what may be a primitive culture, should we really be going down onto the planet?
Well, here's what I know of the planet, at the very least, the Admiral replies. And this is also why I've been so rushed to get here and assign you this mission. This system was one of a few that were highlighted in the monolith that this crew encountered on Bacchus 4. Just before you triggered whatever security system that activated that destroyed not only the planet Bacchus 4, but also the entire Bacchus system. Just before you triggered that security system, a 3-dimensional holographic display of the Shackleton Expanse and beyond was activated, and numerous points within that star map were highlighted. The Pasqual system is one of those highlighted systems. And when I got someone to do long-range scans of it, we found, like we're finding now, that scans could not penetrate the first planet, the M-class planet's atmosphere, which leads me to believe that there's something worth investigating here. So this is your mission. Your mission is to go down onto the planet and investigate its status. Are there life forms there? If so, what's their condition? Is there any evidence of the strange technology that we've seen on Bacchus 4 or elsewhere? Why can't we successfully scan the surface? And despite the interference we are seeing, I believe it is safe for you to beam down. So, that's your mission. That's why we're here.
Should we be taking precautions to stay within the Prime Directive if there are life forms?
I suppose, yes, that makes sense. But I have to stress, as I have before, there are other elements that are watching us, which is why I've taken these rather extreme measures in order to get here to give you this mission. We are being watched. There are other elements at play here that are trying to stop our investigation into all of this for whatever reason. And I intend to try and make sure that we find out what's going on this planet that might be so interesting. And I believe that takes precedence over the Prime Directive.
No, I do not argue with the mission you have given, Admiral. I'm going to state for the record that I think not putting the Prime Directive first is a mistake. And I'm sure that you remember me from last time.
Of course I remember you. I'm not going senile. If you can avoid contaminating any local cultures, then by all means see that you don't. But remember that we are on a clock here, as it were. We don't know how long we've got until somebody else might turn up investigating what we're investigating. So if it comes to it, you are allowed to treat the Prime Directive as secondary if it means that you can find out some pertinent information to the situation that we are investigating. So, Captain Sobek, I want you to put an away team together. Dave, go on.
Can I ask a question? This is Dave asking the question, not Tavish. Has Hopkins' ship, I can't remember what it's called. Gweech'ah? Have I got that right? Gweech'ah,
yep.
Yeah. Has that got cloaking abilities?
No.
No. It has advanced shields, secondary reactor, and rugged design.
Okay.
So it's got a lot of power, it's got a lot of shields, and it's easily repaired if it gets into a mess. But no, it does not have cloaking device. What was the pity? Although we could get into some you could get into some legal hot water with that if you did. It's kind of a kind of an odd situation.
So another question: Can we get a better? We can't zoom in better, can we?
You can get pretty high resolution images just using visual sensors. You can. I mean, considering how advanced orbital satellites, surveillance satellites are in the 21st century, you know, a starship with as advanced sensors as the Combs has got would be able to produce some pretty high quality images and be able to zoom in pretty darned close to the surface.
I just don't want to go down there and breach the Prime Directive straight away.
So there are patches you could choose that would be deliberately further away from any local settlements.
Okay.
Just need to maybe take a little bit of time to for the visual sensors to get because you know visual sensors will only get what the ship is pointing at that particular point in time, so it'll take a bit of time for the ship to maybe complete an orbital rotation and therefore get more of an idea of what kind of terrain you're looking at and where might the best place be to set down. But it's not impossible.
I think that's a better option, but I will let the rest of the crew decide.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We can identify a place to land and a route to the target to examine. So if we can identify where this monolith or source is and where we're landing, so we've got a route to plot.
Yep, okay. So like I said, the main...
We have other
Sorry, go
people.
on.
As I say, I'm just one voice. It's 2 of us have spoken. There's 5 of us. So.
Yeah, I agree. Sadly, we can't also add a cloaking device since it already has its 3 talents and it's a skill 2.
Yep. Afraid so.
If we just land in a discreet location, be okay. I still bring an EVA suit, by the way.
I haven't taken mine off, so yeah.
You're taking EVs. God, how bad must the inside of that smell by now? Phlesc just hasn't come out of his EVA suit in months. Star Trek. Because what I need now is a shuttle. So it sounds like you guys are going to be taking a shuttle down, or are you taking the Gweechar, or what are you doing?
Shutty the shuttle.
Shutty, of course, I forgot all about Shutty. Where did I put Shutty?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't really want to lose the reach out. That is that's a big tactical advantage.
Okie dokie. We're going to have to do a bit of jiggery-pokery here, so give me just a second, folks. So, we are going to be taking Shutty down. So basically now it comes down to allocating who is going on this mission. So the first officer, as well within the rights to now put together the away team you want to take.
So I've got my cultural studies, if that helps.
Ooh, yeah, that could be good. Let's see, is this too big? There was chuckling going on. What's going on here?
Didn't
Maybe
realise
the
the captain was joining us.
Yeah, the captain's like,
Oh, the captain's coming. Cool.
you should put a curve every once in a while, you know.
Well,
do something, stretch his legs.
Yeah, exactly. If you want the captain to go along instead of the first officer, that's or as well as, seeing as the admiral's technically in charge. It's entirely up to you.
It's just mutiny. I see the chair.
Off you go, Cap.
No. Admiral Stoker, you can go along with your little pet expedition too.
Are we gonna give the Chancellor another chance?
Good point. You probably want to take Turin with you as well if you're
should.
dealing with ancient technologies and ancient civilizations, because that's why she's here.
Yeah.
Have we got enough space in the shuttle for 8 people?
Just about, I think. You know,
Standing only.
standing.
Hold on to the outside.
Well, if you're taking Shutty the shuttle, then
Yeah,
yes.
Mark's got the EVA suit, then, you know. Do we have like a nice like space board you can just like sketch along the back of the shuttle?
Doing
it's
what Mark's
Captain-
he looked. Go on.
It's Captain Sobek's turn to feel Tavish flying skills in the shuttle.
I've put my con down quite a bit. I don't even have that focus anymore.
Yes, because apparently you wanted to do well at AI programming. So go figure.
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually. Who else has got con? I think Gurkha's reasonably good. She's got a 3.
We're taking the Councillor, aren't we?
You can if you want. I mean, if you run into language problems or stuff like that. Plus, let's not forget that on more than one occasion so far, when you've come across things to do with this ancient lost civilization, there have been a lot of psychic phenomena that's gone on. So, and again, another reason why Captain Sobek could come along as well.
We've got like 2 Vulcans and 1 beta side. I think we're good then.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, are we happy with that away team?
Looks good.
Alright. 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 In which case, take away those.
Right. Just to make it clear.
Just to make it clear?
Yeah. Ensign Shiara is probably taking over.
In charge while you're away. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. What I'm going to do then is the away team, I am going to move off to one side for a moment. So obviously, sickbay related stuff is now up to Nurse Uro. Ensign Aversion is apparently taking over Ops. We've got Dufresne taking over Sensors and Science. Tactical has been filled in with our new tactical officer, so that's cool. Hopkins is now taking command of the ship. Neato. We all good with that?
Yep.
All right. In which case, folks now pile into the shuttle. The best... Actually, that's a good point. Let me move things to shuttlecraft interior. Let's bring that up. What have we got? Right, so let's change this a bit because we don't want all of those. We want some others. So let's change the composition a bit. So Gurkha's probably going to be flying. The captain's got an okay. Con score, so he can help. Tavish has got a similar
And I
one.
have parent figure.
And you have parent figure, so maybe Phlesc should be co-pilot instead.
Me and Cap have got the same con.
Yeah. So either will do.
Oh. Gurkha's got...
Yeah, Gurkha's
Gurkha
got
bit
better
of a,
con again, so she'd probably be the best as the primary pilot.
Yeah.
All right. Tippity two.
Hey Gurkha. If you press that button there, you use the NOS.
The NOS.
A need for speed over here.
Oop, pardon me.
It's on the gift shift.
Okay, everyone take your bathroom breaks before we set off.
Don't worry, I'm in charge of waste disposal.
Alright, so needless to say, the shuttle ride, as soon as you come out of the ship and you angle down towards the planet, everything's fine, right up until the moment you hit the atmosphere. And that's when, well... the power in the shuttle goes out. The shuttle is now in free fall. The lights have gone out, the consoles have the console lights have disappeared, everything in the shuttle has gone out. You are now in an atmospheric plummet.
I think Tavish may have to do some engineering stuff here.
Because if you want be able to do anything to do with steering this thing into a controlled landing of any sort, you're going to need to somehow get power back to the ship.
Okay, I am going to try and get power back to the ship somehow.
This is more than likely going to be a daring and engineering check by somebody, anybody, with no help from the shuttle whatsoever, and the difficulty is going to be 4.
Let me know if you need a hand.
I think hands are definitely going to be what's called for here.
What was the roll? Sorry.
This is going to be like a daring and engineering at the very least to get anything out of the engines enough to be able to try and steer it.
Is this an extended task?
No. This is just finding power from somewhere.
Oh. Shall we have Captain Silver assist with his inspiration focus?
You can try, absolutely. You know.
I've got a focus in power systems.
That will probably help.
I am willing also to use a determination here, and use cool in a crisis.
Okay. So whoever's taking the lead rolls 2, whoever's assisting rolls 1.
What sort of power system is it? Because I've got electroplasma power systems.
Technically, the shuttle will run on electroplasma power.
Cool.
That's the main
roll for 1.
That's the main power system of any Starfleet ship. So,
do you want me to take the lead here?
Yeah, if you take the lead,
Aye.
You're rolling 3.
3, yeah, because I'm going to use the determination.
Shall I take a momentum and roll 2 then?
I was going to say, I think Captain Sobek was going to help.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll put that momentum back.
Go on.
Okay.
Because this is just finding power. This is nothing about guiding the thing in for a landing yet. So.
I'll do it.
Okay.
Actually, I'll take because I've got more daring and so I can roll higher than him. So yeah.
Okay. So
leave him behind. Yeah, I'll take the momentum.
Take the momentum.
So that can help inspire.
I was going to say we'll use the captain to help Gurkal land the ship. Yeah.
Alrighty. So Phlesc pretty much just abandons his seat and goes running to help Tavish with trying to find power. It's leaving Gurkal to just with the horrified look on her face of looking out the front port of the window of the shuttle as the clouds are now coming up really quick, and the outside of the shuttle is now starting to get hot from atmospheric re-entry. So let's see what you got for us, guys. Three successes from Phlesc. You need one more to succeed if you want to. Lots and lots. Boo-rah! 7 successes in total, which means 4, 5, 6, 7, you've spiked back up to maximum momentum. You have found some power. You are not sure how long it's going to last for, but you've basically had to coax power out of dormant systems that are usually only there for extreme backups. So you've basically had to hack into the battery system of this thing and coax out power in such a way that normally the ship wouldn't allow. So you've had to do some real, actual ripping open the panels of the shuttle and getting at the actual physical wiring to try and find anywhere that could coax power out enough for you to give the maneuvering thrusters some juice, which you have. How long this lasts? Well, I'm now spending a point of threat to make it last just that little bit less time, but let's see how well you do with a roll now to try and keep the nose of the shuttle in a controlled descent. So, Connie, since you've got the highest of con, you can get Gurkow to roll a control and con. Liz, if you want to be Sobek, he's going to be assisting with a control and con of his own. Sobek doesn't have any kind of focus in it, and neither really... No, extravehicular activity.
So you can't use inspiration to...
Oh, no, I suppose he could. You can do this, Lieutenant. With me at your side, we can do this.
And there's momentum to spare.
Just like old times, Lieutenant. You and me against the atmosphere. Let's go.
Okay.
It's
It's okay, I'm a gambler.
That's gonna be control and con.
That's going to be control and con, almost definitely, and the difficulty is still going to be 4.
I was hoping command.
Do we have someone else that can assist, or maybe?
Sure.
Take the momentum. You can.
Yeah.
Yeah, take the momentum.
Take the momentum.
Okay, take the momentum. I'll take 1 momentum then, if that's alright with everyone.
Alrighty.
Okay, I'll roll 3.
Oh, 1 success from the captain. Nice. Just need 3 more successes.
Oh dear. Okay. Come on.
Oh, you got it!
Boom!
With 1 momentum to spare. Oof. Alright, so basically, with the unstable amount of power that the other guys have managed to coax out of the shuttle, both Gurkow and the captain, with whatever skill they can manage, bring the shuttle's nose up from basically an uncontrolled dive, so that you're now having to rely on the aerodynamic nature of the shuttle itself to help cause enough friction to slow the speed of the descent and also allow it to semi-glide in such a way that you can guide the thing down with maneuvering thrusters. So you've got 1 more thing that's left to do, and that's the actual crash landing itself. So this can be a combination of whoever wants to, so it can be a combination of the con officers trying to lift the nose or control the speed. It can be the engineering officers trying to coax that little bit of extra power from the thrusters to give to the thrusters to control the descent. It's going to be 1 task, but it could be multiple people contributing from multiple angles. So... but you're allowed a maximum of 5 dice, of course, so you've got 1 primary, you can have 3 supporters, unless you want to, of course, spend momentum, and somebody wants to spend a determination. So, what you going to do, folks? And I am spending a threat to make this just that little bit harder. So it is another 4.
2 engineers and Gurkow getting power and pulling the nose up to try and... I don't know.
That's 4 dice. Are we gonna let Gurkow take a momentum as well?
Might
or
as well.
spend a determination?
Nah, save the determination. We've got a full momentum pool.
Okay. I was just saying, because a determination is a guaranteed 2 successes.
I didn't realise that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Momentum is good, don't
Alright.
get me wrong, but it doesn't guarantee you a success. If you pull a determination, that's a dice that's already rolled a 1, guaranteed 2 successes.
Okay, if
this is
I
difficulty
use
4.
if I use a determination, because I've got desperation breeds inspiration.
So desperately wrenching the last bits of power you can out of the ship, I like it.
And still with the focus. Who's leading this?
Well, that's up to you. Do you want the engineer or the
No?
con officer to lead it?
Is it bad I can't actually see Phlesc?
I think he's hidden behind someone.
Oh, he should be right there. Let me just check to make sure.
Yeah, Dr. Slot was
Everybody.
over me.
Oh!
I haven't moved, I swear.
Okay, I'm happy to take the lead. Spend a determination.
I guess Phlesc just wanted to hide under salt.
Protect me!
I do have a question.
Of course.
At this point in time, that has the little Joy-Con popped up? The little steering stick.
I suppose it could have. Yes, it would have been one of those manual release kind of things. You would have to have popped the switch for it in order to bring out the. Yep, you can have the joystick by all means.
Lovely. Okay,
Adds
that's all I needed
drama.
to know.
While
Just wrenching the
everybody
stick back.
While everybody else is
Sorry, what was that, Chris?
What?
I said the Starfleet issue Thrustmaster.
That was it.
Flight stick.
Dave?
I was saying, while everybody's panicking on the shuttle, there's Tavish just going, whee! No.
This is awesome!
I've never been this fast before while descending into a planet. It's amazing.
That's why they call it an uncontrolled descent, Lieutenant, says the captain. It's not a good thing.
Sorry, Captain.
Humans' ability to derive pleasure from dangerous situations has always confused me.
Now he understands Hopkins' reluctance on getting on the ship with her.
Is it less a human thing and more a Tavish thing? Or
Well, that's a good question, actually, but it goes back to the... I don't always like to pull quotes from some of the unpopular Star Trek films, but I'm gonna. Insurrection, Commander Data's line. I will never understand the human predilection of proceeding at unsafe velocities. Piloting vehicles at unsafe velocities, that was it. Anyway, moving away from that. Yeah, so now we need... So who's... Phlesc is taking the lead at wrenching power. It's going to be assisted by Gurkow using con, so control and con, to try and control the descent, and whoever wants to assist with either of them, basically.
It was Tavish.
Trying to get a little more juice.
So 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4 of potential 5 dice. Do we want one more? Actually, no. Shall I roll and see? Yeah, use momentum.
Yeah, you use it. No,
You're using determination,
determination.
aren't you?
Oh yeah, I'm using determination. That's right.
So that's 2 dice, and the 1 extra dice from determination is already you. Then is Tavish. Then there's Gurkow. So that's 5. Yep, we're good.
My bad.
Right.
Cool. Here we go.
Ooh, look at that!
Oh!
Look at that! Very, very good.
Is it daring and engineering again?
Yes. Oh, yes. There's nothing controlled about this.
I'm gonna
Whoa.
get my focus of extravehicular activity.
Yes.
Come on.
Ooh,
Oh.
it's
Wow.
all...
Wow.
It's... Unless you can re-roll those dice. Unless anyone's got a talent that allows you to re-roll any of those dice.
No, because it had to be a 20.
Okay.
How do we re-roll dice? Is it momentum spend or determination?
It's usually determination to re-roll. But, you know, you got 5 successes from Phlesc, so essentially...
We're already over, right?
Essentially, you've managed it. You've succeeded at the task.
Oh,
And
okay.
it all comes down to Phlesc just somehow, and this possibly goes back to Tavish having more historical engineering knowledge than she does modern. So Phlesc suddenly just remembers something he read in a manual somewhere and goes, I wonder if this will help. And tries something extremely unconventional, starts splicing together wires that Tavish is a bit like, are you sure you should be doing it like that? At which point there's all of a sudden this massive surge of power that goes through the shuttle. A number of subsystems do blow out, however, as you flood the shuttle with more power than it was possibly expecting, and maybe something to do with the interference. It's not easy to tell. Nonetheless, a sudden boost of power goes into the maneuvering thrusters, and Gurkow literally does have to wrench back on the stick as the descent becomes a bit more controllable now, and you do eventually see forest coming up in front of you very, very quickly. So you are able to a degree, use the trees as you smash into them to kind of start taking away the momentum of the catastrophic momentum, at the very least, of your descent. Which means I am now going to. Now you've done very well at this, so I am just going to roll 1, and I got a 0. Okay. This was an extremely successful landing, as you land with a bump and everyone gets thrown forwards. The nose section of the shuttle kind of digs into the soil a bit, and this creates like a natural kind of barrier in front. Some of the systems do crumple and crack from the stresses put on the hull, but eventually the shuttle stops moving and then settles back onto its nacelles, and you've made it onto the surface. As you find yourselves.
Do I need to give people a quick scan, or is everyone okay?
Sot giving people a quick scan finds that the most you've got is a couple of superficial bumps and scrapes because you succeeded so well.
Cool.
At what you did. You came away with no injury. I mean, I just rolled there to see what injuries or stress people sustained, and I got a 0, so you lucked out. Can everybody see this, or is it a black screen?
I'll see.
Okay.
I
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I see everything.
So, the shuttle has come to a complete stop. And I should really turn this off. So, outside you can hear the sound of animals, birds and the like. The sound of wind through the trees. The shuttle is not in a great state, and there is no power to any of the shuttle systems now. What are you going to do?
Need to
No.
get more power.
Obviously, Liz, with your main character not present, you've got kind of like secondary control over whoever you need to. You got the captain, you got Lieutenant Serin, you got the councillor, so, and of course Lieutenant Garrow as well for the meantime. Right, the interesting thing about moving outside the shuttle is that you have to manually open the shuttle door. There's no power to open it, so you have to crank the manual release to actually do it. So, assuming somebody does, that's what happens. You have to find the manual release, and you find yourselves in a forest. It's
Are we
I'm going to.
not trying to repair anything, or are we just going to walk straight out?
well, that's entirely up to you.
I think the super engineering team of Phlesc and Tavish should probably stay on the shuttle and try and fix this.
Yeah.
I feel like
Okay.
for the most part, I feel like for the most part, like evacuating the shuttle that's literally on fire may be like prudent.
Have we got any fire extinguishers?
Usually that's found in a compartment, so yeah, there's probably an extinguisher of some sort somewhere. Probably just the one.
At least we know if there's fire, there's oxygen, so don't have
Exactly.
to worry about evening suits.
What
Wrong.
Phlesc and Tavish notice is that when you break out the engineering toolkit and try and start using it to repair the shuttle, the toolkit, nothing in the toolkit works.
Captain, we
Yes,
are stranded
Lieutenant.
down here, and nothing in my toolkit is working.
At which point the captain taps his comm badge. So back to Combs. And he just taps it again. There's not even the sound of the comm badge acknowledging the tap. The comm badge is, he's just slapping a comm badge, and that's all that's happening. Sobek reaches down and pulls out a tricorder and just taps at it. It appears our technology has been rendered useless. That is more than likely what caused our shuttle systems to fail.
Check the tricorders and stuff.
Tricorders are dead. Nothing happens.
But it worked for a time because we managed to regain power.
You
during the crash
regained
landing.
power by literally ripping out isolinear chips and slotting them in different places and pulling out wires and rewiring them. So this was a hands-on hack job you managed with the shuttle.
Oh, does this mean my floating orb scanner?
Your
has just sort of
floating
dropped
orb
on the
scanner,
floor?
yes, the moment the shuttle hit the atmosphere, it ceased working. But you had other things on your mind at that point, so Phlesc eventually just finds it, kind of on the floor, inert.
I've just realised I'm so glad I haven't got that AI program
Yes!
installed in my brain.
Aren't we glad that you didn't implant any cybernetics in your body yet?
Oh. I can just see Hopkins currently trying to get contact with the Wii team.
Yeah, and we'll get to what's going on the bridge of the combs soon enough. But for the moment, let's deal with what we've got here.
As soon as I did check over what focuses he did have, our best person at the moment, by far, is probably Garrow, because he has I think it's survivalist.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, survival.
So Garrow is indeed your best shot at this point. But I think the doc has got you've got field medicine at least, so you can Dr. Sott can ignore any difficulties in working medicine without the proper tools. So Sott as well is not in a bad predicament either. He's just that good. So between the two of them.
Tavish is useless. He's just kind of sitting in a corner crying.
Dr. Stark is going like he's going full chocolate doctor. He's got like a hat made out of leaves, he's got war paint on his cheeks, he's ready.
Has anyone else got an echo?
Yeah, that's Chris's voice echoing out of Connie's microphone, I think.
Of course,
Oh,
It is glorious.
I have a strange idea. We know the electronics are down, but we have all sorts of materials around us and power sources, even if they're not useful. Can we create like a atmospheric flare? Send up a rocket to just help.
Interesting.
Are we able to build something to try and communicate, even if we're carving a message out of metal and then sending that up?
If it's something
Well, who's
like
gonna
a
see it?
signal flare, that would probably be something like an emergency kit.
We just need to ensure we don't disturb the locals or anything.
Yeah, that's the massive problem. It's trying to keep.
Well, the good
Prime
news in that
directive.
regard, technically, as probably either Lieutenant Turin or Captain Sobek would point out, is that usually the problem with the Prime Directive is technology, future technology, as far as the natives are concerned. Any off-world technology could affect future technological development and maybe make them advance technologically too quickly. But it seems now that's something less of an issue than it would otherwise have been, because none of your tech actually works. So they're just useless at the moment. They're just paperweights at the moment.
And any subtlety would have been kind of ruined by a crash landing.
There's that
Some
too.
things. Yeah.
So, once again, Dr. Sott is busy making himself a hat out of and camouflage out of nearby foliage, and Garrow is probably doing more or less something of the same as well. So, what kind of thing do you want to now do as a group?
Can we try and put out the fires on the ship so we can use the ship as temporary shelter?
No.
I feel like Garrow would say that. Not Tavish.
Yeah, that makes a certain degree of sense. Garrow would be like, we need to put out the fire so there's no signal to anybody else that we're here. I mean, if you want a signal to signal the ship, maybe hopefully if they orbit back this way at some point, then they'll have seen the smoke from the landing, maybe, who knows. We'll have to wait to find out. But in the meantime, yes, you are now stranded on a planet with none of your technology working. So, anyone with survival would tell you that, yes, first priority is shelter and then food and water, that kind of thing.
Okay. So, let's create some... We've got the shuttle. I don't think it's going to fit all 8 of us. So, probably making some more shelter for us.
Which should be no problem.
Probably getting a fire going as well, and then food and water as well.
Okay. So, what I'm probably going to ask for first then is I'm going to have Garrow and whoever wants to join him. What can we do here with using survival? What does that suggest? Insight of a sort, I suppose? No, that doesn't make too much sense, because insight is mostly your feeling of how people are in the area around you. What are we looking for? We're looking for somebody who can tell us, right, we can build a small shelter out of this. So that sounds like partly engineering. And maybe a bit of reason to go with it, so if somebody who hasn't rolled in a while could be maybe Garrow and give me a reason and engineering check with a survival focus.
I can do that if you want.
Cool.
Reason, engineering, survival.
Yeah.
Maybe I can assist with.
Sure.
I know plants.
Yep. Good
With my
point.
botany.
Oh yeah, good. Very good point.
Maybe Captain Sobek can help with
Invention? Investigation?
Yeah, be very
inspiration?
Definitely investigation on investigating the different types of plants and places to build.
Okay, cool. So if you want to, jump in with that, then Elizabeth, you be Captain Sobek, and give us a roll to add to Garrow's 2 successes so far. Oh, and another success, so that's 3. So between Garrow and Sobek, they can start putting together a reasonably good bit of camouflage, I suppose, for the shuttle, so it doesn't stand out too much. So use some of the destroyed foliage to cover over the fact that there's a shuttlecraft here, but also use it as like a secondary kind of like roof for the thing to protect it from the elements. So you've created your own little what's the word I'm looking for?
Love shack.
Well, if we want to go the particularly saucy route, then I suppose so. Yes. If we're going native, then we may as well go the whole hog. No, there was a word I was trying to think of, and it came to me and it left me just as quickly. So let's just go. You've now got a shelter. So, In the distance, you can hear the sound of voices calling to each other. The language is unfamiliar, although some of the words and cadences sound somewhat similar to Denobulan. The voices continue to get closer. So what would you like to do?
Hide.
Hide.
I mean,
Do you want to...
Can
I mean, go on, sorry.
I was going to say, given that there's some familiarity there,
Mm-hmm.
so there's some way of catching some of the words, there may be some kind of probability associated with being able to work out what they're saying.
Aha, I see what you did there.
Gurkau somehow works with Phlesc to work out what they're saying.
So the crew have to move a little bitty bit away from the shuttle in order to try and find who the voices belong to. So we're going to have the away team move a bit further in. And as they, if you said hide, so I'm naturally assuming now that you guys are just being stealthy and are staying behind cover to just see what happens, yes?
Sneaky.
Sneaky. So, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay.
no,
Okay. So, the 3 humanoids you see emerge from the tree line are wearing primitive clothing insofar it's obviously handmade, a combination of naturally occurring fibers and animal hides. The 3 humanoids are tall. Obviously, 2 of them appear to be younger than one of the others. So the one that looks the oldest is a female who stands a good 2 meters tall. If 2 meters is actually quite a lot, I'm not sure. Nevertheless,
it is, mate.
yeah. So the one with the kind of the braids going on, it appears to be the youngest of the 3, and is clinging very tightly to what you can assume to be her mother. Even though this youngster is obviously quite young, she's still as tall as an average human, which means the other female, this one, they all seem related. They all share very similar facial features. Turn this down a bit. And one of them carries a basket with various different fruits and berries in. And the eldest daughter, you can assume, seems to be carrying a bow and a quiver of arrows. So, to all intents and purposes, it looks like these natives are hunter-gatherers. And it's a mother and her 2 daughters who are at this moment in time, looks like they're just doing their thing. They're going out to gather supplies. As far as the language goes, let's see. So, this would probably be a good place for Lieutenant Turin to jump in, seeing as she has xenoanthropology. So, I don't know who hasn't rolled in a time and fancies it. Who hasn't rolled in a time? Chris, have you rolled for a while? I don't think you have you?
I did Garrow,
You did Garrow, okay.
10 minutes ago, I think.
I mean, because...
I think Dr. Sot has his cultural studies.
He does as well, so Dr. Sot could also assist with Lieutenant Turin. So, if you want, seeing as Turin is technically a member of Gurkau's lot, Connie could always do it, unless we want to give Liz someone to be while she's not being Hopkins.
Because I also have xenobiology as Gurkha as well. That might be applicable.
I'm not sure the xenobiology would be applicable for the moment, because we're trying to determine cultural and language-related whatevers. It's a shame we don't have Hopkins, because Hopkins was a linguist. But there we go. Never mind.
I like we're still not using Councillor Sachs right now.
Like, realtor, what does that captain even do?
Well, if you look, he's got observation, persuasion, starship design, inspiration, investigation, and invention. So a lot of very supportive focuses.
Yeah.
So he could technically be used for pretty much anything.
Yeah, jack of all trades.
He is our statistical probability.
Yes, I suppose so.
I mean, we can get Councillor Sachs to try and detect what they're feeling or what their intentions may be.
Yep, absolutely.
Whilst the others work out what they're saying.
Sure. So it could all contribute to the same pool of investigation, or we can do them separately. It's entirely up to you.
I think all the same.
Pool it all together to do the one big task kind of thing?
So, what was it? Dr. Sot, Gurkha,
Turin.
Turin.
But not Gurkha.
Yeah,
no.
not Gurkha, because not xenobiology. That was it. So,
Okay.
So we got Dr. Sot with his cultural studies, Lieutenant Turin definitely because of her xenoanthropology, but we also want to bring in Councillor Sachs because of her ability to read minds and emotions. So for Councillor Sachs, it would at least be insight and command. So Liz, you could probably give us that. Lieutenant Turin would be reason and science. So I don't know. Connie, she's one of yours. You can use her. And Dr. Sot, of course. Cultural studies would be reason and science as well, and Dr. Sot has got reason and science coming out of his ears, so he'd probably be good to be the leader of this.
Cool. Excuse me.
You are excused. Ooh, I see a 20. I see a 20.
Legion of Honor.
We also have momentum.
We also have
Feel free to take it.
So the primary has already rolled, so it's up to the secondary guys whether or not they want to roll. Sorry, Chris, I talked over you there. What were you saying?
No, that's fine. I was going to say, I don't mind using a momentum to like try and re-roll one of those.
It would be determination to re-roll one of those.
But
seeing as I mean, you could if you wanted to, because you've got no successes there whatsoever, so...
Exactly. I'll do one more.
Okay.
I've taken the determination off.
Okie dokie. That's worse.
I resign.
You are no help.
Dear me.
Okay, so it's these are probably intellectual muscles that Sot has not had to exercise in a long time.
I'm just going to go for a walk in the forest. Don't mind me.
He's just enjoying the fact that he's out in the fresh air. You know, it's like, dude, no devices. This is great. Although, yeah, you may have lost Dr. Sot. He's wandered off into the wilderness now. I am now off to join my new people. You never know, he might be off to found his own tribe. Who knows? So can we have Turin and the Councillor? Either one of them can buy extra dice with momentum, I think. Or one of them I can, at least. So, Liz, if you could be
Turin.
the Councillor, Connie, if you could be Turin. What were you saying, Connie?
Maybe Turin can buy one momentum.
Okay, sure. Makes sense, she is the xenoanthropologist. Technically...
There we go.
Hey, that's
Yeah.
much better. And Liz, if you could give us insight and command from the Councillor so she can read their minds.
So focus and empath.
Yeah. Definitely. Excellent. Hey, Councillor Sachs succeeded at something. It had to happen eventually. Excellent. Okay. So, just observing these people and listening to what they're saying, Councillor Sachs can confirm that these three are definitely related. The eldest female has a very strong feeling of maternal instinct. She's you know, having a day out with her daughters, basically, it seems. And the eldest daughter, the one with the bow and arrow, is taking her role as like hunter, watcher, lookout very seriously. The youngest daughter is a bit moody of the fact that she's coming out and having to do chores when she could be somewhere else doing something else. So nothing you don't really expect out of a child. But there's no aggressive feelings that the councillor is getting from them. There's the usual amount of wariness, but that's kind of shunted back to the hindbrain almost as an automated response. So it's kind of like a lingering sensation of they know they're out here in the wilderness and they got to keep their eyes open, but other than that they're out here gathering supplies and they seem fairly happy to be out and doing it, all things considered. Anthropologically speaking, and with Phlesc as well, trying to listen in onto what they're saying, Lieutenant Turin gets the impression that they are definitely a hunter-gatherer society because they seem to have the tools and the build and the clothing that suggests that they, hunt animals but also cultivate plants, which makes sense because you've seen from orbit that there were areas of wilderness cleared. Not by natural hands. They're a family group, so that suggests that, community-driven family community type thing. So the sheer amount of supplies they are gathering in the basket that the mother has suggests that it's not the gathering supplies not just for themselves. So that suggests there's more people elsewhere, but they are also gathering supplies for. Suggests communal living, perhaps. The level of sophistication in their garb, in their weapons, and their baskets suggests pre-industrial, maybe bordering on the industrial with the way their stuff is weaved. It suggests, maybe using looms to weave the things rather than weaving things by hand. So there are quite a few number of interesting markers that interesting hypotheses that can be brought up with these guys.
Not quite warp tech yet.
Definitely nowhere near warp tech yet. No. Phlesc, listening into the language, it's like something window, something ink blot, which is a bit weird. Something and some kind of like almost rude colloquialism from Denobulan. Everyone who's watching Phlesc try and glean whatever words he can, all of a sudden seems him go, oh, as if he's heard something extraordinarily rude. But then there's definite similarities to Denobulan, but obviously not being a linguist, or at least not tried translating it yet, there's a definite gap of understanding. So at the moment, you appear to have met the natives, and they're just here, hunter-gatherers, not doing anything much. So, are you gonna go on? Sorry.
I was gonna say, are we gonna go say hi?
Exactly. That was my next question. Are you gonna go and try and communicate, or are you gonna remain in hiding?
I kind of want Phlesc to try and talk to them.
But as long as that's okay with the rest of the group.
I mean, do they physically resemble Denobulans? Do we want to blow our cover?
They do not physically resemble Denobulans. They are much taller. They are built quite athletically. It's kind of that they're really tall, but they don't look as if, you know, they're properly proportioned. They have that kind of sinewy, wiry muscle that suggests, you know, hunter-gatherers, people who are used to physical activity, but also have to keep themselves, you know, lithe and springy enough to be able to, you know, run distances. And you know, are on their feet a lot. So they're not overly muscular, but they've got that regular, wiry musculature that suggests that, you know...
Okay, next question in the form of 2 questions. Can Phlesc sit on someone's shoulders, and do we have a trench coat?
Answer to the question 2 is no, you don't, unless somebody saw fit to pack one, which nobody mentioned to me that you were packing trench coats. So, yeah.
Oh, I mean, even if we brought the anti-grav sled, it wouldn't work.
Exactly.
Ah.
Hold on, let me have a look in my engineering toolkit.
Funnily enough, an engineering toolkits are not big enough for trench coats to be packed into.
Sorry, guys.
I left it in my other purse. So, are you going to make contact with them? Is Phlesc standing on Garrow's shoulders? Bearing in mind, something I didn't actually point out is that their skin tone is actually kind of grey, almost kind of blue. Not quite blue enough to be visible, but it's kind of got that deep greyish kind of almost silvery quality to it. But they have like painted their face with like tribal markings.
Hold on. If Phlesc is getting on Garrow's shoulders, if we do this, isn't this kind of look like a little bit insulting to them?
Well, yeah, they're tall. They're not that tall.
Oh no, I'm not standing on his shoulders. I'm just, getting sitting on his shoulders.
All the same. Are you trying to present yourself as a four-armed, two-headed beast, or you just want to get the same height level as them, or slightly over? I'm just trying to understand the logic here. The captain is probably trying to understand the logic as well.
Possibly it's better for them to think that he's just a very short one of them, rather than 2 people, for some reason, doing a circus act in front of them.
There's that.
I know what. Let's just send Tavish out there. What could go wrong?
Nothing ever goes wrong when you let Tavish talk. Liz, you were going to say something.
I think Cobb and Solak will be trying to convince them to not break the Prime Directive and introducing themselves to them.
That's the question.
I mean...
What's the alternative?
Well, we don't have a replicator. We don't have any supplies, really.
Yeah.
Unless we follow them home.
That's weirder.
Exactly.
That's far weirder.
Hold on. Kirkout is asking us to stalk these people until they get home.
But then there's more of them. Like that. Okay.
Sorry to be picky, Mark, but I think we're getting you breathing down your mic.
Oh, sorry. I've now made it too sensitive.
Yeah.
There we go. Is that any
Just
better?
angle it away from your mouth. That's cool. Okay.
Cool.
So, final word, final consensus from the group. Are we saying hello to the natives?
Let's say hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liz, Chris?
I was sort of leaning towards no, but I respect democracy.
Well, there's one vote left, so, Liz, what do you think? Introduce yourselves or not?
If Hopkins was here, she would be all for it. But seeing as it's Captain Sobek, I don't think he would be.
Assuming that we do go ahead, then we're gonna assume that Captain Sobek is going for it. I've not heard any objections from him.
If we're going with consensus of the players rather than consensus of the characters, then we'll go for... Yeah, okay, you emerge and introduce yourselves. Okay. So what happens essentially is that somebody, probably Phlesc, maybe backed up with Garrow, slowly walk out of the foliage and just kind of draw their attention non-threateningly. The elder daughter with her bow just does reach for it, but the mother just kind of puts her hand on her daughter's bow and lowers it down, and the mother just seems to regard you all with curiosity, and then she speaks. To Phlesc, this was like something grass. Grass? Not sure. Maybe ground. Ground? Ooh, that might not be right either. Ground? Maybe a patch of earth, a patch of dirt, a place. Maybe a place. Ooh, it sounds like she's asking you a question. A place. Ooh, she might be asking you where you came from. But it seems from the context to suggest a short distance. The word for place or where are you from basically seems to suggest not too large a circumference. So maybe she's asking if you're local. You think maybe. So the last thing I'm going to ask you to do is give me reason and science.
We're local people.
So Phlesc is going to have to give me reason and science to try and see if he can get how the vowels and the syntax work.
Is it 2 dice, 1 dice?
1 dice. 2 dice, pardon me, because you're doing it yourself.
This is a local forest for local people. You're not wanted here.
2 successes. Nice. So over the course of this conversation, Phlesc starts to... He's like I just hinted at there. Phlesc can pick out words and kind of infer from tone whether it's a statement or a question. But then as the more he thinks about it, the more he starts putting things together, until he comes to what he thinks is an approximation of what he's going. So Phlesc is starting to work out the vocabulary. Meanwhile, back in orbit, we have a ship comes out of warp in the near vicinity. So, just so I can show you the ship. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Now I'm going to divert us back to the bridge as Commander Hopkins gets notified by Lieutenant Dufresne that a ship has just come out of warp and they are hailing the combs. Apparently, they are identifying themselves as the USS Olcott. And
that's the ship that Stoker came from, didn't she?
well, a message is coming through, so your communications officer is telling you that he's patching a message through from the Walcott. Greetings, Combs. This is Captain Scarson of the USS Walcott. We're looking for Admiral Stoker, and we're fairly sure she was last in this area. It seems there's some confusion. She apparently disabled the warp drive on the Calico after we left her with them, and they say she stole a shuttlecraft. We were called back to the Calico and tracked the Admiral to a point that seemed to rendezvous with you. Do you have her aboard?
Is Admiral Stoker currently on the bridge still?
Admiral Stoker is currently on the bridge and is now giving the throat cut motion to your comms officer, who then nods and puts things on mute. Where is Stoker? She is pensive for a number of moments, and then she nods towards the communications officer. Patch me through. At which point, Ensign Ravelon kind of looks uncertainly over at Commander Hopkins as if to say, do I do what the Admiral says?
Yeah, so looks the link with the captain of the Walcock, and she's given the Admiral a look like, don't make this hard.
Alright, at which point Stoker says, Walcott, this is Admiral Stoker. You are interfering in a highly sensitive and classified mission. Leave this area immediately. Go back to the Calico and await further instructions. There's a long pause, at which point Captain Scarson speaks. I'm afraid I cannot do that, Admiral. We've been ordered by Starfleet to bring you in. Stoker turns to the rest of the bridge crew. She thinks about it for a time, and then issues an order. Disable the Walcott. Do it as quickly as possible. And that's where we're leaving it for today.
What?
Oh, she thinks the Klingon's gonna do what she wants. Oh, cute.
Okay, so plenty of stuff to look out for next time. So yes, we've got the unfortunate case of a stranded away team, who have now at least managed to land safely and have met the locals. So hopefully things will turn out all right for them. But now another ship has come looking for Admiral Stoker, and Stoker has issued the order for the Combs to fire on another Starfleet ship. What's going to happen? I'm afraid we're going to have to wait until next week to find out. So in the meantime, I'm going to thank everybody who tuned in to the stream for doing so. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as we all enjoyed taking part in this. It's been cool getting back into this after the big kind of break we've had. So yeah, groovy. Nice to get back into the swing of things again. But in the meantime, I'm going to say, for those of you who are watching on YouTube later, if you did enjoy this, consider giving this video a like, because it helps not only ourselves, but also all those other folks who do anything related to Star Trek, but also role-playing game actual plays, as it helps our Lord and Master, the algorithm. In the meantime, though, I will ask you guys to do like the Vulcans do, but not, in this case, beam down onto a planet where none of your technology works, or in this case, fly a shuttle down to a planet where none of your technology works, but we will ask you to live long and prosper, and also to engage in infinite variety in infinite combinations. I hope you all look after yourselves and treat each other with the care and respect everybody deserves, and we will rejoin the crew of the Combs next week, same time, and find out whether or not we can solve this odd situation we're in. So in the meantime, yes, go on.
It's gonna be resolved, just not peacefully.
We will indeed see. In the meantime, thank you very much for tuning in. Those who did tune in, we will see you again next time.